We're turning our attention now to an economic matter. I mean, not that we haven't talked about economic matters, but Vincent Nwani joins us now. He's the Director of Research, Lagos Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much.
Specifically, it's the World Economic Forum. You know, we do know that this year, Nigeria will be hosting the World Economic Forum, and that's for Africa, as a matter of fact.
Exactly.
And then you have, there'll be regional leaders who will also be here to chart the course on how to move Africa forward. Now, we've heard some of them talk about education. I think the president said some time ago that if Africa has got to compete, or if we have to compete with the rest of the world, we should have a good looking in education. Is that something you think is interesting, or we should look at that? Exactly.
You know that this year's theme for World Economic Forum on Africa is on inclusive growth, creating job. You know, this time the forum is trying to look away from the potentials of Africa as a mainstay for resource continent, but looking at the type of development that is driven from non-resource endowment. So education is a key aspect of this, agriculture is a key aspect of this, and even provision of infrastructure. Of course, education is a long-term investment. You start today, you're harnessing the fruit of coming from education, good education reform in the next 10 years, as the case may be. India did that in the last decade, and we've seen what came out of the education reform. So looking at the crisis we've seen in the Nigerian education sector, people say that Nigerian graduates are not employable. People said even industries have come out to say that one of the major problems they're having is that the type of skill they need, they have to import it into the country. All of these are the reasons we feel, and everybody feel, that it is time Nigeria focus and talk about education and see how this can be done. So if the World Economic Forum on Africa is going to talk about inclusive growth, creating job, of course, one of the major issues there is going to be how to provide skills via education.
I mean, yes, we need to walk the talk now, and having said that, I mean, the comments from the president, from the kind of actions you've seen us as a country carry out, do you see us addressing this challenge in the education sector?
It's possible. It's just the political will. It has to start from political will, and everybody will just follow. And I also remember that the Nigerian Economic Summit Group last year, for the first time, focused on a particular sector, which is agriculture. And this year, of course, I'm not going to print what is going to happen, but from the background, we're hearing that education is going to be a key issue that's going to be discussed. So moving from talking the talk to doing it, yes, it's possible. And like I said, it's going to start from political will, leadership will, and every other thing we follow. So it's possible.
Some people are usually skeptical about the efficacy of conferences, because this is some sort of conference. What do you have to say about that in the World Economic Forum?
World Economic Forum, of course, over the last 2 decades have emerged the biggest and the most prestigious forum where economic development for the whole world is charted, and from this forum, so many initiatives have been developed, especially for Africa. The Grow Africa initiative, the Fund for AIDS initiative, and some other initiatives have been developed. And you know that South Africa have hosted this World Economic Forum for Africa for 17 times. Other countries such as I think Tanzania, Ethiopia, Namibia hosted. This is the first time this forum is coming to West Africa, and Nigeria is hosting this. So it buttresses, or it shows that Nigeria have emerged as an economic giant in Africa, considering our population, considering our potential, and considering the fact that we are second to GDP numbers in the continent. And for the gains Nigeria have made with some reforms, though some challenges still exist, some reforms we've seen over the last few years suggest that it is time Nigeria also showcase both its political, cultural, and economic potentials to the whole world.
So aside the prestige that it brings to us, I mean, and also the opportunity it provides to showcase some of the things that we've done, how does it also fuel political will? Because, I mean, everything that will be said will remain on paper if it doesn't move towards the realm of action, as you rightly observed. How does the World Economic Forum, or hosting it, fuel the political will we should have to do certain things that will be recommended?
The World Economic Forum on Africa is projected to host about 1,000 foreigners. Most of them are presidents of other countries. You will see captains of industry or CEOs of large corporates across Africa and across the world coming into the country. I think that the forum will give Nigeria opportunity to tell their own story by themselves in their own way. Of course, we know that there are so many perceptions or misconceptions about Nigeria. And we've also seen that many times you see somebody coming in from Europe or even America, especially at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, and somebody will say, no, thank God I'm here. What I heard about the country, what I read from the internet is totally different from what is on ground. So this gives Nigeria opportunity to tell our own story ourselves, showcase our potentials, and also make friends. You know, when you talk on phone, you talk on the internet, this time you're seeing these people one-on-one. And I think a lot of opportunity will likely emerge.
You know, it's a big meeting, no doubt a big event where you see academics. You also talk about political leaders as well as NGOs, different people come in. You know, sometimes perhaps maybe you should tell us the difference between what we see in the tiny town of Davos in Switzerland and what we're about to see here in the country, the World Economic Forum for Africa and the World Economic Forum meeting in Davos. What's the difference?
Well, it's almost the same thing, but the tiny difference this time is this focus, this region. It focuses on the region, that is African region, sub-Saharan African region. Last year it was held in South Africa, I think in Cape Town, and it's about delivering the African promise. So it's talking about us, Nigeria, Africa, West Africa, not the whole world as the case may be. So it is a little bit narrowed to our own situation, and this time we are talking about inclusive growth, creating jobs. We want a forum that should be able to unlock opportunities where they are. Is it a forum that should be able to present Africa and Nigeria as a mainstay of the whole world, trying to feed themselves and also feed the whole world? We want a forum that should be able to leverage on this new mint that was coined. Of course, the Goldman Sachs chief economist sometimes coined the BRICS, and it came to pass. This time we're talking about mint, and Nigeria is in the prophecy again. We want a forum that should be able to highlight and give impetus to this new prediction.
Well, if you look at it, the Republic of South Africa has hosted it in a record 17 times,
yeah.
And it's just coming to Nigeria now. Why this long?
So long, but I think that the organizers of the forum, which is the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, felt in the first place, felt comfortable with hosting it in South Africa, and that is Cape Town. It is over time that discussion and lobbying started, when we also saw some other Southern African countries like Tanzania, when Namibia hosted, Ethiopia hosted. This is the first time it's coming into to Nigeria. The focus this time is not to see why has this conference or the meeting eluded West Africa and Nigeria for this long, but for 24 times or 23 times, but how do we leverage on this uncommon opportunity that is coming to us? I think that should be the focus.
What kind of issues do you think we should be focusing on apart from education?
Apart from education, I think very strongly that issues of agriculture need to be focused, because if we are talking about inclusive growth, creating job, we know that the mainstay of this country is agriculture. Unfortunately, the oil and gas, which contributes about 95% of FX and 80% of total government revenue, employs very meager number of people. Less than 20,000 direct and indirect jobs exist in that sector. We are looking at how we can unlock or leverage on the ongoing reforms championed by the current Minister of Agriculture in that sector, to see how we can make out business from agri value chain. And that is the only way we can create the job we're talking about.